Now let's focus on the City of Tshwane. Of course, the big news from last night that we broke on this program is that there's a new mayor in town. COPE's Murunwa Makwarela elected to the role, beating the DA Cilliers Brink to the mayoral chair. Cilliers now suspects there's traitors who voted against him. We heard strong words from him last night. The ANC, of course, saying that they're very happy with Makwarela's election. eNCA's Pule Letshwiti-Jones has been following that story. He joins us now in studio. It's been a busy 24 hours for you. So we heard, Cilliers Brink was seething, I think it's fair to say, last night. Tell us a little bit more about the DA's next move. What are they saying now that the dust has settled a little?
Well, Sally, they seem to not be giving up. In fact, we understand there was a caucus meeting that took place today, the DA caucus meeting, to discuss how can they map a way forward from what transpired yesterday in Tshwane Council. But we're also aware that there is a multi-party coalition meeting tomorrow of the leadership representing all parties. It's expected to take place tomorrow. That's been confirmed. And from this meeting, some of the important things we'll be discussing is how do they hold the councillors who voted against Cilliers Brink, who are part of the multi-party coalition, accountable. Remember, yesterday the voting process was a secret voting process, and therefore it had a knock-on effect somewhat on the DA because it wasn't transparent at all, because there's still some councillors within the DA who are unhappy with how the resignation process of the former Mayor Randall Williams was handled. They're also unhappy with the fact that, once again, the DA had to bring in a member of parliament to the Tshwane caucus, who they then had as their mayoral candidate. And you'd also understand that there's the 5 councillors who are currently undergoing a disciplinary process at Action SA. And this is typically what the ANC and EFF did to actually counter on those grievances and approach the disgruntled councillors to sway them in their direction to get more numbers. And from about 2 weeks before we got to yesterday, the ANC has been quite confident that they had the numbers, to say that they have the backing, and they said that they would emerge victorious.
They're also saying they're going for Ekurhuleni next. Is that happening today or tomorrow?
Well, that happened yesterday. We saw the election of the speaker from the EFF, of course, but we're still waiting to hear when the council meeting will then happen. But they've confirmed on record to say they will be gunning for Tanya Campbell's head as well. Come the next council sitting, they will be, filing that motion of our confidence against her. And we're seeing a different dynamic playing in the metros, in Gauteng, in Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, and Johannesburg. They're also gunning for Mogale City, as confirmed by the Premier yesterday, Panyaza Sufi. So what happened yesterday was actually, quite surprising as well. But we also anticipated the fact that the ANC and the EFF were counting on that secret voting process to get the numbers, because as it stands, there was initially about 214 seats, but one councillor resigned, and therefore there's a pending by-election that has to happen in that ward. Therefore, there was 213 seats available, Cilliers Brink getting 101 and Makwarela getting 111. But I just want you to take a listen to what the DA is saying in regards to holding those councillors accountable.
One election dragged out for the entire day, possibly to help the ANC and the EFF meet quorum and to give them the numbers which they didn't have at the beginning of the day. It's not about that. It's about keeping the promise to establish an effective, corruption-free government in Tshwane, to address the financial issues, to address the issues raised by the Auditor General. And that's the mandate that we're going back to. So we're going to see who are the 7 councillors who voted with the ANC and the EFF to install Dr. Makwarela as the mayor.
Yesterday, I interviewed Brett Herron of the Good Party, and one of the reasons they wanted Cilliers Brink in was a sense of continuity. They were concerned about instability. Yeah. You asked the new mayor last night if he was just a proxy mayor, if he was just a caretaker, some would say a puppet mayor. And he went on to list his extensive experience in local government, that he has a great deal of experience, and he's quite confident that he's there to stay. But also you've spoken to COPE today about that very issue. What have they told you?
Yeah, in fact, they held a media briefing in the City of Tshwane today. National leadership, the likes of Deputy President of COPE, Willie Madisha, was present, amongst others, Polisi from the Provincial Secretary of the party. And they're saying that, the mayor is not a proxy mayor. In fact, they believe that he will be quite independent when coming to take or undertake crucial decisions, especially in terms of the city's finances. But I think one must also raise this issue here. On Friday, there could be a special council sitting that will convene. And therefore, what this means is that the parties have to elect a council speaker. So if this process is transparent, once again, we will see how powerful the multi-party coalition is in council, because they still have the numbers. And therefore, if they succeed in fielding their speaker candidate, they could once again field a motion of no confidence to have Makwarela removed from office, field their candidate, and will be back in position.
That would be the opposite of what we saw at one stage in Johannesburg,
yes.
where we had a DA mayor and Cope's Colleen Makwarela as the speaker.
Definitely.
And what a lot of fun and games that caused.
Definitely. And if you heard properly yesterday, Cilliers Brink was saying they will be filing a motion against Makwarela. So it's not yet over. If this is a secret process, then the ANC and the EFF could pull a similar stunt they did to have their speaker in council. So it's not yet over. But what we also now understand and have established is that this meeting that will take place tomorrow will then identify whether the multi-party coalition government still has the numbers to actually pursue that agenda of having their own speaker candidate.
So as you've explained, the multi-party coalition led by the DA has some work to do in working out who voted against them. But let's listen to Cope and what Dennis Bloem had to say.
We are not a Mafikizolo party to be called a proxy executive mayor. We are long in the struggle. We were part and parcel of liberating this country. So nobody will use us as a proxy, a mayor.
In all this politicking, we have no time, but I have to ask, I know you've had a quick chance to speak to people of Pretoria. What are they making of this?
Well, you know, the residents of Tshwane are quite concerned about the politicking that's taking place in council. Within a space of about 7 years, we've seen 4 mayors already, now 5th with Makwarela, and all they just want is service delivery. I mean, you go to townships, potholes, no water, you know, unplanned outages is a problem. In the suburban areas as well, potholes are just a lot. It's quite a concern. It's the capital city of the country, and something has to be done.
Yeah, should be the jewel in the crown. Thank you so much for bringing us up to speed. That was eNCA reporter Pule Letshwiti-Jones. Now, still